What's crack-a-lackin'? Welcome in to My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Show.
Welcome into episode 138, everybody. I am your host, SleezBall. Today's episode will be my Week 11 waiver wire. 10 players to target. I'll give you each position: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. It's not that great of a waiver wire this week, but these are players that are rostered under 50% of rosters, so I'm going to kind of even it out all across for all leagues on this one. Before we dive into it, guys, make sure you smash that like. Make sure you smash live streams. Drop any comments you want down below. I try to answer every single one of them. That is one of my goals as a content creator, to help you guys get those weekly wins and get you that ultimate goal of a championship, guys. And let's dive into the waiver wire here for week 11. First player I want to talk about here is going to be Russell Wilson, currently owned in only 22% of Yahoo leagues, which is absolutely bonkers to me right now. So since taking the starting quarterback job for the Pittsburgh Steelers, he's just won 3 games, just 25 points, 14 points, 18 points, 6 touchdowns, 1 pick, 737 passing yards, even 13 rushing yards and a rushing TD. And now you get the matchups of all matchups this week. He is going to be on my smash start video 100%. You get the Baltimore Ravens, who are currently 31st versus the quarterback, giving up 22 points a game right there. They rank 22nd in the red zone. They also give up 314 passing yards per game. And then when you go look at the wide receivers here, which George Pickens has, erupted since Russell Wilson has been here. You even saw Mike Williams get the game-winning TD. He got a little involved last week. And the Baltimore Ravens rank 32nd versus the wide receiver. They give up 30.9 points per game. They rank 30th in the red zone. 200 pass yards just to the wide receiver alone, and 1.6 passing TDs they allow a game, which is dead last in the NFL. Russell Wilson is going to be an absolute smash start this week, and you should honestly be spending 15 to 20% FAAB, because all you have to do is pull up his name, click on it, and look at the schedule coming ahead, guys. It is all green. There is no red tough matchups coming for pass defenses the rest of the way for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and their defense is going to get them the ball back because their defense is amazing, and Russell Wilson may be a league winner down the stretch here, in my opinion. Second quarterback I want to talk about off the waiver wire that you should be targeting is Drake May, the rookie out of North Carolina, currently owned 13% of Yahoo leagues, QB 26. That's because he missed the first 5 games, or didn't miss him. He wasn't put in as a starter yet. 954 pass yards, 7 pass TDs, 5 picks. But what you have to love as well that he brings to the table is 233 rush yards and a rushing touchdown. So his last 3 games, right, he starts off with his 2 20-point games, and it looks like he's going to explode. And then you get 3 tough defenses in a row: New York Jets, Tennessee, Chicago. So obviously you're going to struggle a little bit in those games because those are 3 of the best defenses in the NFL that you faced. Now you get the Los Angeles Rams. They rank about 22nd versus the wide receiver, giving up 34.1 points. They rank 23rd in the red zone, so the touchdown upside is there. They give up 150 pass yards and about 1.3 passing touchdowns a game. And you're going to get him out on the edge, running around. You probably have Verse attacking up the sides, and he can pop to the middle. And I see a big rushing game coming here as well. And with all the buys that are happening this week, I'm okay with Drake May as a top 15 to 20 quarterback this week. And I'm willing to spend 10 to 15% FAAB on him to get him as a starting quarterback if you need this week. Third quarterback I want to talk about here is more of a sleeper play. It is going to be Trey Lance, currently owned in 0% of Yahoo leagues. Got his first stats of the season, so QB 53, 21 passing yards, 0 passing TDs, threw a pick, of course, on his first play, third play, which is kind of random. 17 rush yards, though, and what you have to like is the rushing upside. So I know Cooper Rush is named the starting quarterback. I don't think it's going to go very well for Cooper Rush. I do think you're going to see Trey Lance, and you're going to get a massive rushing upside quarterback. So even if you look back to like 2022, this first game before he broke, his ankle with the 49ers, he had 54 rush yards in his first game to go with 164 pass yards. So if I can get a quarterback right now for free off the waiver wire that possibly down the stretch of the season here in 2024 is going to be the starter for the Dallas Cowboys, you're going to have Jake Ferguson, you're going to have CeeDee Lamb. Yeah, the run game isn't that great, so that's where he's going to bring in the mobility to help him out there. And the schedule isn't bad, guys. So the Houston Texans right here, probably Cooper Rush's last start. Then you get Washington, New York, Cincy, Carolina, Tampa Bay. So, I mean, if I can get Trey Lance looking ahead here as the play, you're going to get a possible low-end, possible high-end QB2, low-end QB1 with this rushing upside. So this is one of the very, very sneaky plays for me, and I kind of like grabbing him in leagues right now just to see if he's going to get the starting job moving ahead because, Cooper Rush isn't the guy here. Heading over to the running back side, and I'd said to grab him last week, man. It may even be too late now, depending on how competitive your league is. It is Audrain Esman, who still currently only owned him 4% of Yahoo leagues, which is crazy to me. You got the update last week that he was going to see an increased role, and that's exactly what you got. And so he goes out against the Kansas City Chiefs, one of the top rundies, and puts up a 14-carry game for 53 yards and a 3.79 average, and he looked like an absolute bully ball tank out there, guys. So if you're looking at what's going to happen ahead here, you get Atlanta, Las Vegas, the next two games. These are very suspect rundies. And even if I'm looking at the update coming ahead, so Sean Payton was even impressed with what he saw and said there's more work going forward. So I tried to tell you guys, if you're a subscriber to my channel, I never liked Javonte Williams this whole year. This was why. And now you're seeing Audrain Esman going to be the running back one for the Denver Broncos down the stretch here. And if he is on your waiver wire, guys, I'm willing to throw 50. It's late in the season. I'm willing to throw all my FAAB if I have it right now, literally. That's how important a running back would be down the stretch of fantasy football right here. Go get this man. Player number 5 that you should be targeting and running back number 2 on my waiver wire list is going to be Trey Benson. So I know you're getting a handcuff, right? But the handcuff, guys, has now produced 10-plus point games in back-to-back games here. So he's only had 8 and 10 carries in those games. He's had 37 and 62 yards in those games, averaging about a 5.3 yard per carry average between the games with his first touchdown of the season, even getting receiving work. So 3 receptions as well to go with it in those 2 games, about 30 yards receiving there as well, which is nice to see. But I mean, you're going to get a bye week here as well, too. So you can wait if he's on your waiver wire. Yes. If you own James Conner, I'm not waiting. I'm definitely buying him for 10 to 15% FAAB. But when you're looking ahead here, you also got to know that James Conner has always carried that injury history with him. Yes, he hasn't missed any games this season. He has been steady Eddie, absolutely balling. But you got to realize that there is that possibility that could happen. So especially if you own James Conner, he's age 29, almost turning age 30. You definitely want your handcuff. I don't care if it's a bye week or not. I'm buying Trey Benson there. But when you're looking ahead, you get Seattle, Minnesota, Seattle, New England, Carolina, LA Rams, San Francisco. A great schedule. The Arizona Cardinals had one of the toughest schedules to start the season. Now they're getting one of the best schedules down the stretch here. And look at his snap share, right? So James Conner still putting up 14 and 22 in the past 2 games, but he was at 80% before those. Now he's at 48-54. So you're seeing a little Trey Benson cut in here. They're trying to save Conner for down the stretch because the Cardinals are 6-4. They are looking for playoff aspirations here. So you may get a flexible player even if, it's a handcuff running back. So I'm willing to spend 10 to 15% to get Trey Benson. And if I have James Conner, I'm willing to spend 20% because I want my handcuff locked up heading into the playoffs here. The 6th player I want to talk about, the 3rd running back you should be targeting is the old man, Gus Edwards. So if you were in my stream before last weekend and I was like, do you guys worry about Gus Edwards cutting into J.K. Dobbins? And everyone told me no. I said, man, you might want to watch out a little bit here. So here's what happens. Comes back off injury, off IR, 4-week stint he was out, just comes back and 25% snap share, but he takes 10 carries away and he gets 55 yards and the average is 5.5 yards per carry. So that's his first game back. And you did see him get the goal line work here as well too. So now looking forward that you're probably going to get a running back that can fall into the end zone at any single time that is going to get his work share ramped up even more. The Chargers are now in playoff contention, so they'll probably try and save J.K. Dobbins just like the James Conner thing. So they'll probably use him, 60-40 split, 65-35 here the rest of the way. And you're going to get a guy that is the goal line back. So looking ahead here, you get Cincinnati this week. He may even be a flexible play this week with him being ramped up. So then you get Baltimore, that's tough. Then Atlanta, KC, Tampa Bay, Denver, New England, Las Vegas. So your playoff schedule is very nice for Gus Edwards. And I'm willing to spend 10 to 15%. And if it's just like a James Conner thing, if I own J.K. Dobbins as well, I'm willing to spend 20% because I want my handcuffs now at this point in the season, guys. It is time to lock up your running backs heading into the fantasy playoffs. You don't want to be stuck making a waiver wire move heading into that time. So if you have J.K. Dobbins, you better make sure you get Gus Edwards. And even if you don't, I like him as a pickup as a running back, and he could be a possible flex play this week. Player number 7, heading over to the wide receivers. And guys, sticking with the Chargers here, this is crazy. How is Quinton Johnson only owned in 41% of leagues? This one doesn't make sense to me. It should not be this. This should be in the 60 to 70%. So he's wide receiver 52. Yes, he's missed 2 games. So if he had those, he'd probably be a top 30 wide receiver. He's got 29 targets, 20 receptions, 306 yards, 5 touchdowns, guys. He is the big body receiver for the Chargers. That's 5 touchdowns in 7 games. So if you're looking at his games as well, he only has 3 games this season under 10 points. Against the Raiders in week 1, KC when he got hurt in week 4, so you can't even really count that game. And then he went against Denver against Pat Surtain in week 6, so he was under 10 points. Besides that, 26, 10, 12, 22. Now you get the Cincinnati Bengals this week, guys. The Bengals are very bad versus the wide receiver. They rank 20th. They rank 24th on the season, and they give up about 151 yards to the wide receiver position a game. And you're going to have to keep up with them. This is not going to be a game where the Chargers can just pound the run out here. They're going to have to throw the ball a ton. And Quinton Johnson, I absolutely love this week. And you should be spending 20 to 25% FAAB, possibly 30, because you're getting a wide receiver that's going to be startable or flexible weekly here. And I cannot believe his ownership. That drives me crazy seeing that number at 41%. The 8th player and 2nd wide receiver you should be targeting is going to be none other than Slick Rick Purcel. So currently wide receiver 101. He got shot. He didn't get to come out on the field till week 7. So came back from a crazy incident. Like the bullet went through and everything. And now this guy's out there playing football is absolutely bonkers to me. But you have Brandon Ayuk down. And the opportunities are going to be here for the rest of the season for him. So what does he do in his 2 out of his 3 games? He drops 19 points, 11 points, 5 points in his first game out there, right? So obviously the first game was a little slower, first game back from being shot. But 15 targets, 11 receptions, 132 receiving yards, even gets end-around carries in the 49er offense, has 39 rushing yards, and gets his first touchdown of the week last week and drops 20 points on Tampa Bay. And you're in an offense now that has Christian McCaffrey that is going to open up everything. So you saw Juwan Jennings. So Juwan Jennings is available as well. You should be getting him too, but he's owned at 60%, so I'm not using him in this video. But when you have Christian, like I said, when you have Christian McCaffrey out there, look at how the wide receivers and everybody did right after. Kittle pops off, Jennings pops off, Purcell pops off. Debo had a down game. That will change. Debo's always not going to have a down game. And now you get the Seattle Seahawks this week at home in a big division matchup game. And the Seattle struggle heavily versus the wide receiver. They give up 34.5 points per game. They rank 18th on the season, 20th in the red zone, 147 pass yards just in the wide receiver position. This is going to be a game where Ricky Purcell is flexible in this game, and you can pick him up on the waiver wire for, I'd say, 10 to 15%, just because he's not getting a full wide receiver 1 or 2 workload. Really, he's getting a 64%, 59%, 70% snap share between his games, so it fluctuates up and down. But still, when you're in this offense, I want every piece of this offense heading down the rest of the season here with Christian McCaffrey back. Again, everyone is going to be flying open. Everyone is going to be electrifying. And my 49ers CMC GOAT is back. Go get Ricky Purcell on the waiver wire. Heading over to the tight end, guys, the 9th player you should be adding at tight end position this week is going to be Will Dissly. And I know it sounds crazy in the Chargers tight end. You think it's a committee, but he's leading the committee. So he stood out last week in week 10. He also led them in snaps, route ran, targets against, and he's also 4th in targets over the past 4 weeks as a tight end since he's become the guy. So this is becoming Herbert's option. You do have a matchup here with the Cincinnati Bengals, like I said. So he will be on my sleeper plays this week as well, because the Cincinnati Bengals are 20th versus the tight end position. Oops, sorry, I read that wrong. The tight ends are 30th. Third last versus tight end, give up 15.4 points, 29th in the red zone, 60 yards to position, which is bottom 5, and a 0.6 chance for a touchdown. And you're in a game where you have possible shootout potential here. The Chargers are going to need to pass the ball, like I said earlier in this video, that they're not going to be able to just pound the run here. And Will Dissly is going to be a decent play at tight end. When you're getting 5, 6, 7 points a game from him, that's all you really need is a tight end, and that's what he's been averaging over the past 5 weeks. So even though his snap share is only about 60%, he's still getting the work done, and I think he'll be out there more in this Bengals game. Don't go crazy. I mean, don't spend like over 2 to 3% on this, but this is a tight end that I really, really like this week. Last but not least, player number 10 here is going to be Dawson Knox. So currently only owned in 1% of leagues, tight end 43, 16 targets, 10 receptions, 142 yards, and 1 touchdown. He always has that touchdown upside potential. He's always playing in the 50, 40, 50, 60% snap range, because he splits there with Dalton Kincaid. But now we have Dalton Kincaid with a knee injury where he tried to come back in the game and didn't play. So when you're looking at this matchup ahead here, you got the Kansas City Chiefs and then a bye. So if I can get Dawson Knox for 1 to 2 to 3% of my FAAB right now, in hopes that possibly Dalton Kincaid isn't out there because the bye is heading ahead, and the Bills having the AFC pretty much locked up with their record already, so they wouldn't rush out their superstar second-year tight end out there, off injury. So you're getting a guy who's going to get the Kansas City Chiefs possibly right here, who are dead last versus the tight end. They give up 16.4 points, which is dead last in the NFL. They rank 14th in the red zone, so they stingy up there, but they give up 77.6 yards to the tight end position. So this is a great sleeper play right here, especially if you even have Dalton Kincaid. I would also be getting Dawson Knox this week because he will be a solid top 10 to 15 or 10 to 15 tight end to me against one of the worst defenses versus tight end if he's the sole guy out there. And you got Keon Coleman out, and we don't know if Amari Cooper's out there. So this play is screaming at me to go get Dalton Kincaid. It just depends on, not Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox. But if Dalton Kincaid is not there, man, this play is going to be one of the best plays of the week, in my opinion. Thanks for rocking with me today, guys. That is the end of the episode. That is my Week 11 top 10 waiver wire players, plus the FAAB to use on them. Before we head out, guys, again, make sure you smash that like. Make sure you smash the subscription. Turn that bell on so you know when I'm live. It helps me out a ton. I cannot thank you guys enough for all the support this season. It's been an amazing journey. And I will try to get my running back, quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, defense, and kicker rankings out today. If I do not, I'll press them tomorrow. I didn't do it last week for my startup sit-ems. I'm sorry there, guys. The week was just wild with stuff. I usually get them out, but this week I'm promising I will get them all out. And if you guys have any comments, questions, as always, drop them down below. I try to answer every single one of them. And I hope to catch you guys in the next video, man. SleezBall out.